So that's me. Or I should say that was me. I was working for the man, living the dream, making plenty of dough. Yet, I was asking myself questions. There's so much craziness going on in the world. I was thinking, is this what I should be doing? I decided, pretty logical, I quit my job and write kids' books. Kids' books about nature, like getting kids outside to play and do things to learn about nature. And it was cool. It doesn't make like you don't make a ton of dough doing it, but did a lot of school visits, and the kids think you're really cool because you're a children's book author, right? And while I was there at the schools, I learned a bunch about education, but I also learned about what they were eating. And it was crazy. Like these principals would go ahead and bring me in and they say, you know what, we're not going to have you eat with the kids. We don't want you eating that food. That's crazy. So I studied a little bit about the food system, and they're eating fat, sugar, and salt. And we've got this health epidemic that it's kind of crazy. So especially on the west and south sides, especially in the poor neighborhoods, so I did the next logical thing. I bought an old pickup truck, threw dirt in the back, and grew food, and went to schools to connect kids to food and health. And you think, like, children's book authors are popular? You show up with this and you're a rock star. They laugh at jokes that aren't funny, like two snowmen standing in the field. One snowman says to the other, funny, I smell carrots too. And once last year we were harvesting some carrots, and one of the kids pulls out a carrot, he looks at it, shoves it back in. I said, what are you doing? He said, it wasn't done. We do a lot of hands-on stuff, like we do seed starting newspaper pots. And one of the questions I'll ask you is we ask all the kids, like, seed light, small, plant big and heavy. Where does that mass come from? And I'll tell you what, a lot of the third graders did better with the question than some of the college kids we went to visit. We do a bunch of journaling, like nature journaling or writing or exploring. Once we're with some high school girls, and we're writing down all the foods that they've been eating the last 3 days. So I go look at one girl, she's got McDonald's, like Burger King, Wendy's. I said, is that your only choice? Her neighbor looks over and goes, you forgot Subway. Eat fresh food. Yeah. So here I'm with a bunch of kids, and we're going like out to the farm, the truck farm, and I'm eating a kale, and one of the kids goes, what are you eating that for? I said, well, it's, for my muscles and recovery. He said, can I have some? 2 minutes later, the whole class is jumping on kale. So the kids get it, and they'll try different things, especially when you use peer pressure or blindfolds. or blindfolds. And yes, we do bring Cheetos, like they love the Flamin' Hot Cheetos. We make them read the label, and I only serve really stale Cheetos. It's interesting what the kids learn, though, because there's so many different tastes out there other than fat, sugar, and salt. Like this gal here, you can see this as a video if it was on a PDF file, and she ate a tomato, and she was in such shock because she only thought tomatoes tasted like wet cardboard. So after 3 years and thousands of kids, we learned a little bit, and we're just one part, Truck Farm is just one part of the movement to get kids to make better choices, so they know that eating a tub of Coke and fries for breakfast isn't necessarily the best thing in the world. But I walk out of schools and I wonder about choice, because everyone, like our competition's leading with fat, sugar, and salt. We've got arugula, and they've got fat, sugar, and salt over here. Like our real-time competition several times was the ice cream man circling the school. We've got eggplant, and they've got a drumsicle. Or I've got like spinach and there's just ice cream over here, so it's crazy. So one other thing, Chicago's got a lot of segregation. It's crazy segregated. You guys probably know this. There are times when I feel like I'm in apartheid South Africa. So not only are there food deserts, they're job deserts and they're hope deserts. And this is a transition slide. This is no, seriously, this is just like, I'm crying. This is my birthday party, and my mom invited Ronald McDonald to my birthday party. So I want to talk about like city and farm. Like there's a big connection. Like we don't have cities unless we've got farms outside the city, and we've been ignoring the farms. So I went and did a tour and looked at what was going on out there, and It's vacant. It's almost completely vacant. There are almost no farmers because they're using oil and they're growing food that feeds our cars and feeds animals, or producing food that isn't necessarily a great deed. So I'm wondering, if this doesn't work very well for the city folks or most of the country folk, why do we do it? And I asked someone, like, why don't we just change the policy instead of subsidizing the system? And they looked at me like I had four heads, and he said, the folks in office, like elected officials, don't know the food system. The only piece they know about it is they hear from the folks that benefit from the status quo. It's not all bad news. Like, the number of farmers has finally grown for the first time in 100 years, and there are a bunch of young farmers, including my friend here who's 3, and she's tough as nails. She comes in here, but it's about like better design. So instead of food being the problem, food can be like a big solution. And it's not only about the country, it's also about like how our city can look. We've got thousands and thousands of vacant lots and people that need jobs. But right now, because of our policy, they're swimming upstream. So yes, we've got to change policy, but until we understand the connections, until we understand that if we keep like eating from the conventional food system, not only is it hurting our health, but it's hurting our economy. And there are a bunch of folks that have a lot of power that want us to sit on a couch, and they want us like to not understand the connections, and they don't want us to ask questions. So I'm going to leave you with this. Like, I say every day is food day, not just one day. But it's kind of like, what are we going to do? Are we just going to talk about it? Or are we going to work to understand more of the ecology, more of the connections, and like celebrate? You know, there's a lot to be done. There's a lot to be done. So it's okay. I think it's okay to celebrate as we do it, but we've got to get busy, right? So we've got to understand the ecology like I talked about. We've got to get politically active. We've got to get new skills and do stuff. So cheers. Here's to what's possible.